Hi everybody, it's great to be back here again on Itamar. Wow, it's been a while. The last lesson we made was before the Pesach holiday, and as a matter of fact, I had a great time. We went away for Pesach part of the days with my family. We had a very special time seeing another part of Israel. And wow, so here we are back again, and although it's been a very busy week for me, and I really haven't been settled down, I'm very, very busy. But I feel I have to get some words out there. We have to get a message out for the weekly portion, or something, even a small message. First, it was a very special week this week. It was Holocaust Day, and I had the privilege of visiting a museum in Ariel, nearby Itamar, in a town called Ariel, and they have this Holocaust museum where this couple that survived the Holocaust. Amazing. The husband himself, he actually was saved by a Gentile, righteous Gentile, in Poland, and he, believe it or not, was able to stay within a pit for 7 months with two other friends and survive the Holocaust. Amazing perseverance, and of course amazing kindness of a Gentile surrounded by a hostile anti-Semitic world, putting things mildly, but to endanger their lives to save others. And here, this man now, in his 80s, is able to relate a story that happened, and it doesn't seem like it's real, it doesn't seem like it took place in this world, how the Nazis came and destroyed his family, but here he was able to survive. And I got an opportunity to see this museum. They took like a home, and they divided to 3 floors, and they turned their home into a museum and to recall the Holocaust. And of course, we can never forget the terrible, terrible tragedy that befell the Jewish people. In Europe, it's hard to believe again that this was able to happen, but we will never forget, and we must always remember what Amalek did to us, and so it can never happen again. And as a matter of fact, my father-in-law is a Holocaust survivor, passed away, but he's a Holocaust survivor, and also an amazing story, and I would like to relate that story one day on camera to tell his story, which is amazing. Well, today's portion is called, we have a double portion. We're going to be benching the new moon coming in, Iyar. Next week we have Jewish Independence Day, Israeli Independence Day, together with Memorial Day. As a matter of fact, the birthday of our town, Itamar, was born on Independence Day of 1984, and special things are going to happen next week. But it's a couple of small introduction to what's going on, but let's get a small lesson in over here. I'd like to focus on a verse that says in this week's portion, something that we all have read many, many times, but I want to relate to a particular verse. It says, "V'isha asher yishkav ish ota," when a woman and man will be together, "Shichvat zera v'chatzu b'mayim v'tamu ad ha'erav." After a man and woman have relations together, marital relations together, they are both uncleanly until the evening. And the question, of course, we have to ask ourselves, is what causes this uncleanliness? And the fact that seed came out of a man's seed is unclean, it makes a woman herself unclean, the man's unclean. The question is why? God commanded, of course, the commandment to be fruitful and multiply. And the question is, why is there an impurity that comes out of this holy act? It's a holy act of reproducing and bringing life into this world. One of the greatest things in this world is to bring life into the world, to preserve life, to bring life into the world. And how could such a thing cause an uncleanliness? And Rashi, the great commentary, relates immediately, and Rashi says, this is the decree of the king, which means God decreed that this is the case, that when a man and woman are together, they will be unclean for a day. They have to go to the mikveh and the ritual bath, and there will be an uncleanliness that will remain with them for the day. I'm going to have to answer this phone call, so I'll stop this for a second. Okay, I'm sorry for the interruption, but that was a phone call from the States, and I had to answer that phone call. So, but anyway, let's get back to where we were. So I was mentioning again this holy act in which God commanded man and woman to procreate, to be together. How could this bring about an uncleanliness? And this is what Rashi again says. This is the king's decree that after this act of intercourse, the man and woman are going to be unclean for the day. And the question again, of course, is why. And I opened up as a beautiful book called, I'll show you the book there, Kedushat, there we go, in front of the screen. Sefer Kedushat HaLevim, written by a great Hasidic master, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Berdichov. And he writes, and he actually relates to this thing, and I would like to read his explanation and see if we can connect to what he's saying. It's a very high level of spirituality, but let's try. Let's give his Torah over here and see how we deal with it. And he brings down, of course, Rashi. He brings down the situation. He asks the question, and he's saying exactly the way I phrased it. He's saying that how could this cause this uncleanliness? God commanded a man and woman to be together. And then he goes on to say something like this. This is a very powerful statement, and I hope he can deal with it. He says like this. He's saying, there we go. He goes, Ki lo efshar la'adam. Why is the sexual act bring about uncleanliness? And he says, the fact that Ki lo efshar la'adam, it's impossible for a man lachniya hayetzer, to bring his evil urge, as we say, to a halt, to succumb his evil urge, ulagbir alav shelo liot choshev klal anotav, right? Which means that a person is physical, when a person is doing a physical act and he's having enjoyment from that physical act, it's very, very hard to put that personal enjoyment aside and think about the commandment, the mitzvah, that God is saying, go ahead and do this mitzvah. And therefore, this is the source of the uncleanliness, the psolet, the refuse that comes. The fact is that there's always a personal gain or a personal enjoyment that's on the side, and for that personal enjoyment, that's really like that causes the uncleanliness. He's saying, and he thinks about his own personal enjoyment. And ולכן שכבת זרע מטמא עבור פסולת שיש בו, והנה הדבר זה דומה למלח אדיר וחזק. Well, he's saying, and therefore the sperm causes the uncleanliness. But he said that he gives a beautiful example of a king who had two servants, and one servant was worshiping the king, serving the king, because he really loved the king very much. The other one just really enjoyed the work. So who's on a high level? The one that's serving the king because he loves doing the work itself, or the one who really loves the king so much and is completely giving in to the king and doing the king's will? And that's the same example he gives over here. The example he's giving is when a person is doing God, the king's will, of course, that we have to try to push aside our personal enjoyment as much as we can aside, try to allow us to really do the will of God in this world. That's, of course, this is such a high, think about it. There's so many, like, God gave a world and there's enjoyment. He wants us to enjoy the world and this beautiful world He gave us to live and feel good. But we have to try to always rise above our personal gain in things, whether it's monetary issues, because this is where the powerful, as we say, the powerful instincts of human being come into play. On the dark side is like when it comes to money, monetary issues, when it comes to sexual things, when it comes to honor. A lot of times these things take over our spiritual side, and they become dominant. And therefore, it's very important in our life. If a person, of course, goes out and he wants to eat something, because he has to, of course, live to eat right. And we know how much we go overboard eating things that we shouldn't be eating. They're not really healthy, but they're good. Why do we eat them? Why do we want a big, good French fries and a hamburger or whatever it is, cake? Now people are really much more aware, of course, that these things are healthy for us, right? But if a person would think about that, the fact that he's eating to maintain his physical only so he could be a good servant of God, to be healthy, to serve God, then he really would be attracted much less to the kind of foods, to the bad foods that would be bad for him, because he'd want to be healthy and he'd want to eat the proper things to remain to be healthy, to do good in this world and to be close to God in this world. This, again, I'm telling you right now, dear friends, this is a very, very high level of spirituality, but I think it's important to know that it exists, because we have to work and try in our lifetime to achieve this level, or try to get close to it, because this is the most important thing in this world, is to serve God in the highest level of just serving the King. And there's nothing but the King in this world, and to serve Him. And not because we want our personal benefit, Of course, on the side, we're human beings, and we do have pleasure in a lot of things, but you got to try to focus all that positive energy of pleasure, because on one hand, it's a positive thing, a person should be happy, but turn it into spiritual, because if we turn it into just animalistic pleasure, then it becomes animalistic. It's given over to the dark side. And the holy man, the Kedushat HaLevi, who wrote this, of course, giving in a small example, the entire Torah really teaches us this aspect. Of course, we study the Mesilat Yesharim, the Ramchal, we mentioned before, Rav Moshe, Rav Chaim Latzato, the Ramchal, which was a great giant who wrote very important works like The Path of the Just and the Way of God. His books are very, very popular, and a lot of Kabbalistic works he's written. And he brings down many times, Rav Moshe Chaim Latzato, that a person must strive hard in order to really purify himself, to reach this level, again, of putting his own personal enjoyment. That's a very high level. Personal enjoyment aside, for just trying for the sake of heaven, for the sake of heaven, to try to make a difference in life. Just 1 second here, another phone. One more interruption, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry again for that second interruption here with the phone calls. Right now it's before Shabbat. It's pretty close to Shabbos, and I'm trying best to get this lesson in, because I haven't spoken with you in a while, and it's been too long, too many interruptions. But anyway, again, we spoke about Rav Moshe Chaim Latzato, the Ramchal, and this very, very high level of spirituality we have to achieve in this world, because again, it is so easy for us as individuals is to fall into our personal enjoyment and personal hana'ah, personal pleasures in this world. And the world is full of pleasures, but we have to always try to focus and keep that as our goal in this world, is to really do the King's will, and every enjoyment we have in this world is really for the sake of heaven. We're enjoying because God wants us to enjoy. We want to really, again, make our Creator feel that we're doing things for the honor of our Creator, for the honor of heaven. And this, of course, is a great, great task in this world. This is what our life is all about. We have to constantly work and strive to try to reach this level. This is, again, the work, a lifetime's labor of Torah, of study, and focus on these kind of things. And the message, again, that came out of this verse was of this procreation verse that causes uncleanliness. So on one hand, God tells us to procreate. It's a mitzvah of God. There's no uncleanliness in God doing God's will. But because there's a personal enjoyment involved, that, of course, is the stain or taints this mitzvah, and that's the uncleanliness that comes out of that special, special mitzvah. Well, that's going to be the small message of today, and I do miss you all very much, and God willing, we will be, of course, continuing our lessons, and a lot more very, very, hopefully good things to come, and we'll be in touch. I want to wish you all a wonderful Shabbat, and a beautiful Independence Day celebration of next week, and hopefully I'll have some time to discuss that a little bit. But I am getting ready for a trip soon, a speaking tour, so I am a little bit busy, but God willing, we will be in touch, and we will learn a lot together in the coming days, coming months, and coming years, and till 120, until God gives us strength to go on and study and to improve ourselves all the time. Shabbat Shalom. Miss you all, and we'll be in touch.